Hey, meteorologist Chris Smith here in the Panhandle Weather Studios across Northwest Florida. You can see there a dense fog advisory in effect for our area. Some of us have been dealing with that fog today across Northwest Florida. I had the fog a little bit kind of come and go at my house. We'll bring in meteorologist Dan Nyman and find out. I suspect that you didn't see much fog at your house today.
I only saw it because I ventured over the bridge, but
Yeah.
in my neck of the woods, over into the town side of things, you would have had no idea. I got spring fever, to be honest, walking outside today. It was one of the nicest feeling days, a nice light breeze. You could have sat outside all afternoon, but obviously that would have been unproductive. But I can't remember it feeling so nice in a long time. This is definitely why this is the time of year that we fortunately are quiet and we can enjoy it and have it ourselves.
Yeah, there's pretty much no one in town. It is very quiet, but as far as across Northwest Florida today, yeah, it was weird. Like there were times it was really foggy and other times it wasn't. My house, it was from time to time it was, and I'm pretty close to the beach, but it was interesting. I drove over Lake Powell at one point today and you couldn't even see Pinnacle Port, which is, those condos out there. They were nowhere to be found. So at times, yeah, that fog was pretty dense, and it looks like probably this pattern's going to stick around at least until the big squeegee comes in on Saturday.
Yeah, it's one of those. I always got to tell people because it seems like every year there are new folks surprised by the fog, and it just kind of is part of life when the Gulf gets cold, which it obviously did a little quicker this year with the November cool down and then the hard freeze in early December. We've got some cold water to work with and some warm air to move over it. So this is probably something we're not done talking about, Chris. Probably till early March, maybe. It depends on what more cold weather we have on the way.
Yeah, there are a few other ingredients that we need to have with it, but yeah, you're right. It's certainly not unusual, but it's always very, very cool. And it always makes me wonder, it's sometimes like, would I like Northern California at all with the challenges of having that marine layer that they deal with a whole lot more often than we do? It probably gets old, but at least for here, it fascinates me.
I don't know. Being from Pittsburgh, you'll probably be just fine with it.
No, I've been spoiled. I've been in the South too long. I like to see the sunshine. But you can see today the Upers kind of capturing that haze along the coastline, looking up Panama City Beach. Obviously, you can see yellow flags flying today, but at times the buildings coming and going. Normally, obviously, the visibility quite a bit better than that. And then you can see from David Wesley looking out towards the Gulf, definitely noticing that haziness this afternoon at sunset as we made our way into the evening hours. Right now, no fog over into Destin. Destin was one of those spots that saw fog from time to time, but you can see visibilities right now actually looking good as you look over across the Marler Bridge and out towards over towards Fort Walton Beach. Panama City was really interesting. You didn't have fog, but then it did roll in for a brief period this afternoon. I was watching it on the camera, and you could actually see it was foggy in Panama City, but not foggy on the beach. But obviously, you can see visibilities are fine looking out over across the bay towards Panama City Beach. Also of note, look at the temperature and dew point temperatures right now, 64, 65 degrees. That's a really high dew point for this time of year. And you notice that south-southwest wind at 7 miles an hour, just slowly but surely kind of pumping in that moisture. But for the most part, visibilities right now pretty good across our region, but it's not going to stay that way. The fog is going to return. We do have a dense fog advisory in effect. High temperatures today climbed up into the 70s, and even Bluntstown, look at that, 81 degrees this afternoon. It was 80 in Tallahassee, mid 70s to upper 70s along the I-10 corridor, and right now we're currently looking at temperatures mainly into the 60s across our region. So fairly mild. Winds very light, and that's one of the things you need for this fog is you don't need a strong wind. That mixes things up. You just need kind of a light, gentle wind at about 5 miles an hour on shore, and that really gets that marine layer going. Now, we will see the fog fill in across a good chunk of the rest of Northwest Florida. To talk more about that part of the forecast, let's go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yeah, one of those views I actually off satellite imagery, kind of detecting some of the low cloud coverage and fog out there. Obviously, tonight, dense fog advisory returning, and we'll probably continue to get those notifications over the next couple of nights as well. It's been something we've seen almost all week long with the warm and humid air mass, and then, of course, light winds and generally clear skies to work with, good for radiation fog as well. But satellite imagery here, picking up on some of those yellow spots where you do have a bit of the lower cloud coverage and fog developing. You'll see a little towards the coastal areas. Mexico Beach camera right now might be picking up on some, and then as you look up towards the tri-state, up in the northern Jackson County, perhaps northern Holmes County as well, you're starting to flirt with maybe some decreased visibilities or at least some mist rolling through as the fog continues to develop this evening. Now, as far as the models go, and that's what you're looking at now, fog developing pretty quickly this evening across parts of the area. You see up towards the airport in Bay County, down to a half-mile visibility shortly before midnight tonight, and normally this model kind of does overdo the decreased visibility. Not everybody down to a quarter mile, but certainly spots seeing dense fog as you roll through the overnight hours tonight. And again, it's something you'll see probably last up until sunrise, and then most of us, as the temperatures rise, it mixes out. But I wouldn't be shocked if you saw it kind of ebb and flow in a few coastal locations tomorrow, as is often the case this time of year. You'll certainly see that getting past the 9-10 o'clock hour tomorrow morning. Winds as well, continuing out of the south. So we were warm today, pretty sticky, I guess, with the moisture there for the time of year. Not summertime or even spring by any stretch of the imagination, but we'll continue to add to that, both in the warmth and the moisture department as we get through tomorrow, with a light 5 to 10 mile per hour breeze out of the south or the southeast throughout the afternoon hours. And you'll see a couple of coastal spots potentially getting just a little bit breezier through the afternoon, but certainly manageable winds once again for tomorrow. Now look at Futurecast. As we get in through the day tomorrow, you continue to see those clouds rolling on through, a mix of sun and clouds, probably your best bet. A lot of high-level cloud coverage out there with a little moisture up towards the upper levels of the atmosphere. And then, of course, those little popcorn cumulus clouds popping up throughout the daytime hours as well. As you get into Thursday here, still stretching through a few clouds, but certainly breaks out there at times too. So we are in a low-impact stretch of time as far as weather is concerned. Let's get you that day planner for this evening. Temperatures slow to cool, of course, down through the 60s with some fog out there soon and continuing through the overnight hours. Your actual temperatures, very, very doable as you wake up tomorrow morning. We're down to around 60 degrees inland, Bluntstown, Sopchoppy, Weewa. I think you could see maybe just the upper 50s briefly, but still comfortable, of course. And then you could see even warmer temperatures at a few coastal locations as well. And that fog, of course, Chris, something we've been kind of monitoring here. It's really the most exciting part of what's happening in the forecast right now, but obviously it's all setting the stage for additional changes later on this week when we keep an eye out for an arriving cold front that'll produce showers and thunderstorms back across parts of the south, looking up towards Arkansas or Mississippi as early as tomorrow. And eventually for us, it brings a rain chance, although the risk of severe weather, although low up toward the northwest of us, is certainly even lower, if non-existent by the time we have to deal with any showers or thunderstorms here in the Panhandle.
Yeah, hey Dan, you're going back to that satellite imagery that you were showing a few moments ago, where it indicated kind of that fog down towards like St. Joe Beach, Mexico Beach. I went ahead and pulled up the weather stem cameras that I have behind me right here, and you see it's pretty foggy right now over to the Gulf Veterans Park there in St. Joe Beach, and then also into Mexico Beach there. You can see again the fog pretty evident there on the canal there in Mexico Beach this evening. So it's kind of good to, kind of cool to see it all match up there with the fog detection on the satellite imagery there, matching up with what we're seeing ground truth with the cameras there into southeastern Bay County and parts of Gulf County this evening. And more of us will get into that fog, of course, later on this evening.
It's fascinating how good that satellite detection is. It really makes me want to add it to the app or the website. Knowing the ground truth kind of verifies it that well. It does seem like probably something useful for folks as we move through this next couple of months.
Yeah, we'll see what we'll be able to do. We'll continue to test it, but I was curious there when we were talking about it. I was like, let me pull up those cameras real quick, and sure enough, it's definitely verifying.
We'll add it to the to-do list. Well, of course, we kind of teased it coming up here in just a moment. We'll take a quick break to shout out some of our sponsors, but we've got rain to talk about, and then, although not much rainfall, I think we'll certainly be wishing for more. We do have some in the forecast, and then cooler temperatures. It is that time of year. We can't enjoy this forever. We will eventually see by the back half of the weekend temperatures dropping pretty significantly, Chris. Maybe not lows down to freezing, but certainly high temperatures in the 50s will shock to the
Yes.
system by next Sunday.
You stole the word.
Your piece of land demands the very best equipment. Kubota equipment. The #1 selling compact tractor in the U.S. With professional grade mowers, versatile sidekick utility vehicles, and compact tractors that get it done right. All backed by unmatched dealer support. Talk to your dealer today to schedule a demo.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused.
A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out that self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and your mental health.
Discover the resources that you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Toyotathon is on at Panama City Toyota, where you can get 1.99% APR on a new Camry and get $500 in holiday cash. Get 3.49% APR on a new Corolla and get $500 in holiday cash. Get 1.99% on a new Tacoma, plus $1,000 in holiday cash. And 1.99% on a new Tundra, plus you'll get $1,000 in holiday cash. Shake up your holidays at Toyotathon.
Now, from your trusted team of meteorologists at Panhandle Weather, this is your evening forecast update.
And welcome back, everyone. Meteorologist Chris Smith here in Inlet Beach, and Dan Nyman. Welcome back over in Panama City. Becky Snyder, thank you very much for the kind words up there in Greenwood.
Yeah. We have folks trickling in now this evening, joining us for what was, like we were talking about, one of the better feeling days I can remember in the recent couple of months. We have Sharon from Greenwood, Becky's here, of course, Kevin, we've got Betty and Carla from Bluntstown. So we're covering a lot of ground here, Chris, all across the Panhandle, not just the Weather Channel for the beach. We've got everybody.
We got
two Panhandle. We're talking about.
We got two people in Greenwood. We got half the town. Welcome, everyone. Let's see. Carla Lynn is in Bluntstown. Carla, were you complaining about temperatures? 81 was our high temperature in Bluntstown today.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a very different feel, probably 25 degrees colder in Bluntstown, I'd say, about 4 days from now. So soak it up. Make some plans to get outside tomorrow, because early next week, at least, I'm really thinking the high temperatures are the more unsettling part of the forecast, Chris. The lows are non-impact, although cold, but the fact that you're not going to even touch the 60s is certainly not why we all live down here.
Yeah, bigger than the fact that we're going to flirt with freezing. You know, like, so we're not even talking about like a hard freeze, like preparations, things like that. The way it looks right now, that, yeah, I think those daytime highs in the 50s are going to be like, what's going on here?
But, of course, a lot of your photos trickling in today, Chris, and yesterday as well. We obviously saw yesterday's fun was the Fall Street cloud you were talking about a lot on social media. And here's a good view of it from Cheryl McCall up in Chipley there. As you see right around sunset, and I'll pull that up full screen for you. You saw interesting view. The altocumulus clouds there up towards the middle and upper parts of the atmosphere. Super cooled water droplets suspended in the sky there. So the air itself colder than freezing at 32 degrees, but the actual state of the water still water itself, not yet turned to ice. But when you, say, fly an airplane through that level, the low pressure will help to create ice crystals, convert water ice drops there, and then they fall with the increased density and weight. And as they do so, they accumulate more of that water when falling, and you see these awesome views up across the I-10 corridor last night. Here's a photo from Clint as well. And happening at sunset, too, I think, certainly added to the color, at least the remarkability of that. It stood out amongst the background and provided a not totally rare but somewhat uncommon sight for us here in the Panhandle. There's a better view from a distance, and you can see how much contrast there was amongst the other clouds from up in Mariana last evening. And that all, of course, Chris, was kind of the big talker for us here. As you see that dense fog advisory popping up back on screen once again. A lot of counties there. I need to work on that graphic. How to squeeze that down. I think that's the whole country listed. I'll turn that off in a second.
There are a lot of counties in it. We'll figure out how to best to do that, because I think tornado watches and thunderstorm watches will kind of be the same way.
Yeah, that was probably a little bit much there, but we could turn that off. But still, so many fall streak photos coming in. It was probably something awesome to see if you were out there driving out and about. You certainly weren't expecting to see something too fascinating. And here. Any random Tuesday, as I lost my microphone there. You can submit your photos on any random Tuesday. You never know what's going to happen around here in the Panhandle. Download that Panhandle weather app, and then go to the homepage there. Scroll down just a couple of seconds, and you will find that Submit Photos tab. I'll pop the QR code up on the screen for us here, and then Chris, of course, will dive into what's happening out there right now. No longer watching the skies up at that 35,000 foot level for fall streak clouds. We're watching for clouds right on the ground at the moment.
Yeah, and those clouds, they get their name. They're called a hole punch cloud or a fall streak hole, but like they're the same thing. Just two different names you could call it. But I mean, the coolest thing is like as those ice crystals, they literally fall out of the cloud because they're heavier. And so that's why it looks like there's like the cloud is like falling out of itself and all that's left is a hole. It's just fascinating stuff. And we're very lucky for a lot of reasons that we have so much military around here. I think we get to see it a little more often than a lot of places. Not saying that that was caused by a military plane, but that's a lot of times just more aircraft means you're going to have more possibilities as those planes go through the clouds for something like that to happen. But this evening across our area, the fog giving us a little bit of a break. You can definitely tell there's a haziness to the sky, but visibility is still pretty good looking out towards Niceville and Fort Walton Beach. Things are pretty quiet on Panama City Beach. I was looking, maybe we talked about it last night, but sunset was at 4:58 tonight. By Friday, it's at 5 o'clock. So we're on the other side. We're getting on the other side of 5 o'clock, which I think will be a small victory. Now, as you look over Panama City Beach right now, the visibility, you can see the pier out there, but I think visibility is beginning to drop just a little bit, not quite as evident as what it was just a few minutes ago. So our forecast headlines for the rest of the week, we're going to see some of that fog we're going to have to deal with. We'll see warm weather. This weekend, we'll see showers and a few thunderstorms on Saturday, cooler weather on Sunday. Next week, temperatures stay cool, I think, pretty much all week. We'll be below average for most of next week. We start to creep up closer to average maybe, but that's about it, at to below average next week. So again, watch out for that fog tonight. Temperatures not changing a whole lot. We'll mainly stay in the 60s. A couple spots could drop into the upper 50s. We'll keep that southerly wind fairly light as we move through the night tonight. Moving into Thursday, we'll see the wind turn a little bit more southeasterly, and you start to see the winds pick up a little bit as we head into Thursday night and Friday. That's all because our next weather maker is developing to the west, and so the pressure gradient begins to increase across our area, and so therefore the winds begin to increase as we move through Friday and on into Saturday. Now, we'll get more to that weather maker in a minute, but look how socked in we are with the moisture. You're looking at a lot of green on the map, dew point temperatures up into the 60s. That's air you can wear, especially for this time of year. Summertime dew points are 70s to near 80. Winter dew points into the mid 60s, that's doing some things. And you can definitely feel it, probably having maybe even turn on the air conditioning for a minute just to kind of knock a little bit of that moisture out of the atmosphere. But our weather remains quiet. Could we see an isolated shower? You'll see a blip of green or two begin to pop up as we head through the day on Thursday here or there, but we're talking 10% chances of rainfall. For the most part, mix of sun and clouds, some fog near the coastline. All in all, pretty decent weather. Very warm weather, though, expected. Low temperatures tonight, 60s pretty much area wide. We'll see that fog develop as we move through the overnight hours tonight. You'll see visibilities down to a quarter to about a half mile across our region. And that's both along the coast and for inland areas. I think it starts at the coastline, but then we see it progress inland, and then that fog begins to kind of retreat as we head through the morning hours. High temperatures tomorrow, once again, kids heading to school, 75 degrees for your afternoon, even the first bell, 62, so not too many layers going to be needed for your Thursday. High temperatures Thursday, mid to upper 70s, close to 80 degrees. Friday's morning's lows back into the 50s and to near 60 degrees. And again, similar story tomorrow night into Friday. We'll see some patchy fog develop across our area. The one thing I'm kind of wondering about is, especially near the coastline where the winds are stronger, we have maybe more mixing, that we may not see quite as much fog develop because of those stronger winds. And the duration of fog into Friday probably won't last quite as long because, again, that pressure gradient and those winds begin to pick up. 70s to near 80 degrees for Friday. Look at this, lots of warm air. We've seen it from the northern plains to the northern Gulf Coast today, and that continues as we head into Thursday. Near record high temperatures possible across parts of the south. And when anytime you get record high temperatures and you introduce a front, that means some pretty big changes and maybe some nasty weather in the form of some thunderstorms. To talk more about the threat of severe weather and rainfall for us and how much we can get, let's go to meteorologist Dan Nyman.
Yeah, and for us, I think with the rainfall outlook, we'll probably be jealous of some other parts of the south as this system takes shape. Certainly expecting to be a little more potent up across once again. I think Mississippi, Arkansas could see some severe weather, at least to the southeast of Little Rock as well. That's going to happen over the course of the next 48 hours. And then, of course, for us, we wait a little longer for that front to move further east, and it will be a slow arrival, but one that happens likely during the evening hours, at least Saturday. So it's not going to completely ruin the day on Saturday, but at least something we'll be having to watch out for as well. Here's a look at the forecast rainfall. As you see across parts of Tennessee, northern Alabama, parts of Mississippi as well, 2, 3, perhaps 4 inches of rain coming in with this system, and then the front kind of runs out of gas and sputters to a stall before reaching us, at least as far as producing rainfall is concerned, and we will be missing out, unfortunately, on seeing real drought-busting rainfall totals. Let's talk about the setup for this system. Obviously, it's starting off towards the west coast, all our weather coming from the west, of course, and it's produced a decent amount of rainfall already towards the Four Corners states. That low eventually trickles towards the east, producing some snow flurries in the higher elevations as well out there, and then eventually you'll see this whole system kind of evolve, take advantage of the dynamics present to deepen and strengthen, and that's where we see our first risk of severe weather as early as Thursday morning. Now, it's a low risk, just a marginal risk here. That's the yellow shaded region. You see the green colors, that surge in moisture out of the south. You have the lift of the front too, which ultimately culminates with some heavier rainfall up towards St. Louis, say up towards Nashville and Memphis as well, where the moisture and the front converge. Further south, we might see less of a messy system and a little more of an isolated storm threat with little cells, supercells potentially, capable of producing some severe weather. Now, all of these threats low, and again, they're more for the northwest of us than anything we'll be talking about here, but a big impact for parts of the country, even on the north side of the low. You could see some wintry precipitation up through parts of Minnesota and up into Wisconsin as well. It continues to shift off to the northeast, and that, of course, will be another reason why those overall hazards weaken pretty significantly by the time the front reaches us, all the way down on the Gulf Coast. But briefly, the winter weather impacts from this system, you see mainly snow across that white shaded area. Could see some decent accumulations within there, and then as you get closer towards the warm front, perhaps some frozen precipitation like sleet or freezing rain, but still maybe a warm nose of temperatures towards the lower levels of the atmosphere that keeps them from enjoying the snow. Just a bit of the annoying stuff coming down with that. As far as the weekend forecast goes for us, the front makes a big change happen over the course of Saturday night into Sunday. You'll see here the temperatures stick out pretty harshly into the upper 70s Saturday with a nice south wind and showers and thunderstorms through the morning and midday hours. By Sunday, you're down to just about 60 for your afternoon high. You might briefly touch 60, but spend the rest of the day in the 40s and 50s. Upper level winds. This will be interesting for us to look at not just the potential for severe weather, obviously the deepening of the trough and then it tilting just a little more negative should help to provide some pretty good dynamics out ahead of that trough itself. So where you see that U shape on the eastern side of that, going to be at least some extra upper level support to any thunderstorms that take advantage of the warmth and moisture down at the surface. Notice though, as you talk about, say, the longer range part of the forecast, Sunday all the way through Tuesday, once that trough swings through the southeast, we're kind of stuck, at least for a brief period of time, all the way through Wednesday here, still tapped into that north wind feeding down from parts of central Canada, and that'll at least maintain the cooler temperatures into the middle part of next week. Let's get into the details a little more on the rainfall, though, because that first front that briefly shifted the wind across parts of southern Alabama and the Wiregrass regions kind of fizzling out right now. And then as you look towards Friday, there you see the next front approaching. And right within that yellow shaded area, the slight risk of severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. Pretty coverage showers and thunderstorms up towards Tupelo or up towards Huntsville. As you get into southern Mississippi, somewhat more isolated cells where the threat could shift somewhat from straight line winds to perhaps a tornado or two out there. And then when the front eventually gets to us, it is a lot less impressive. You see here some scattered cells out there, but a very disorganized line of showers and thunderstorms quickly races on through. A few spots there, you're picking up on the higher reflectivity values from the model here. Yellows and reds signifying some heavy rainfall, but it's a very thin line too. So that means we're probably not going to see the rain stick around in any given location for an extended period of time. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why you might not expect rainfall totals to be the highest. Important note though, the timing of this one being right around the midday hours could bring some impacts to the polar plunge out in front of the Salty Goat there on Front Beach Road in Panama City Beach. Otherwise, the forecast would have been pretty good. Air temperature right around 70 degrees keeps it less than polar, I'd say, for the forecast for that. But they will have to keep an eye out for lightning, of course. That might be the one main hazard that could delay things if a thunderstorm were to be nearby. As far as rainfall totals go, a tenth to a quarter of an inch of rainfall, Chris, it's not the most exciting thing for us as we continue to seek rainfall in a more meaningful way. The last couple of systems, outside of a few winters with thunderstorms, really underperforming, and that's going to be something that I think we're going to see again. All work stops for the day. She's ready for bed. We'll just go full screen with the graphics there.
Okay. Okay. Well, warmer temperature.
day. And then as you get in towards Sunday, cooler temperatures returning, and you'll see that pretty much all the way through the rest of next week.
I saw a few.
I think we had a lot of audio mishaps there between.
No, it's it's all good. Let's see, Sheila, we need the rain. Yes, we do. Kevin, yes, Dan does an awesome job. Dave Wertheimer in Disco, Wisconsin. You don't know this, Dan, but Dave taught me everything I know. Like, I would say 95% of what I know about news came from Dave Wertheimer and storytelling. Absolutely one of the best in the business. Worked with him in Atlanta, and just an awesome, awesome guy. So
that is fantastic.
He's watching tonight and you know what? And I knew Dave would appreciate this because, it's like you don't need a TV station to do the weather anymore. And guess what? You don't need a TV station to be a storyteller. And that is what Dave is one of the best of.
That is a great comment. Great to see Dave here as well. Jennifer says I look like a Star Wars cape on from my gaming chair because naturally I would have a gaming chair in my studio. It might be time for Panhandle Weather to purchase a whole set of professional-looking chairs, but
oh no, the Yeti chair and the one that Charlie found at the neighbors out by the street, they're doing us just fine.
Yeah, Chris has a free chair in his studio. This was a free chair for the most part too. So as long as it works.
Yes.
That should be the motto of Panhandle Weather. Anything to add about the 7-day forecast, Chris? I'm not sure we had audio the entire time we were talking about it, but the synopsis basically is warm, rain, and then cold by Sunday. And cold means different things to different people, but generally I think most of us will call it cold.
Yeah, it'll be, as you said, a shock to the system. I think the big question is those storms as they move in. Is there anything marginally severe towards Pensacola before they weaken as they move across our area? And how quickly does that weakening occur? But rest assured, we will be here to keep you posted. But I definitely think our severe weather threat is a lot lower than points northwest of us into Mississippi, a little bit of Alabama, but Arkansas, Louisiana, that general area.
Yeah, so kind of a disappointment, I'd say. I was hoping for a little more rain. The grass has come around just a bit, but, we'll have more opportunities, it looks like, as the month moves onwards. Thanks again for everybody that's joined tonight, stopped by and left a comment. Jennifer loves the chair, which is great. We're keeping it. We'll keep the chair around.
That's right.
Sheila here.
It's paid for.
As well. Kevin's here, too. Ann was stopping by earlier, and if I could scroll through the chat, we'd be able to shout out a few more of you guys. But thanks again for stopping by. Iris is here too. We will have more, of course, 6 o'clock the rest of the week, and perhaps maybe some quick coverage on Saturday too, just in case any of those thunderstorms are a little noisy, and then cold weather after that.
Y'all have a wonderful evening. I'm off to be dad for a few.